Hey, welcome everybody to this 2023 grant announcement for the Flickr and the Black Women Photographers Community grant. So basically, we're Flickr and the Black Women Photographers group have partnered together to do some pretty cool and interesting things for photographers, in this case, Black women photographers. So I'm going to read a little bit about this grant. So that everybody can be on the same page as to why this thing was created and what is being given away and all the things. And then we're going to step through the runners up with Edwina Hay, who's one of the judges on the panel. She's also on this live stream. And then at the end, we're going to announce the winner. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to read this little blurb for you guys and we'll dive into it. And by the way, I'm not switching the cameras. My partner in crime there, Alistair Jolly, normally is sitting in the seat and doing this live stream, but he had a life thing happen, so he gets to be behind the camera today. You'll find out about that later. Follow him on Instagram. But anyway, so we're going to dive into this. Let me read this blurb here. So, Flickr and the Black Women Photographers community have partnered again to offer a $2,500 grant to a member of their Flickr community. The idea is to assist the recipient in receiving or reaching their photography goals. 10 runners up will receive a 1 year Flickr Pro membership and a 1 year Smug Mug Pro membership. All of this is a $420 value. So really, really good stuff. And the most important thing about all this is photography, right? So I look at these kind of grants and these contests as a way for photographers to kind of, get off their butts and go out and shoot and have a reason to shoot. Not that we all need one, but it's good to have like a little carrot, a little incentive out there to keep us going. So to talk about this grant with me is Edwina Hay. And if you are a follower of This Week in Photo or on that podcast, my podcast, you will already have met Edwina. If you have not, I encourage you to go check out that interview. But Edwina is a freelance photographer. She's based in Brooklyn, New York. She specializes in live music, event photography, and portraits. And as a music lover and native New Yorker, she has photographed musicians performing on stage for more than 2 decades. So she knows her way around photography, knows her way around the camera, and all the good stuff. So, Edwina, welcome to this grant. We're going to talk about it. Are you ready to talk about all this stuff?
So excited to talk about it.
Yeah, this is going to be good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. And I'm really excited that Flickr and the Black women photographers community have kind of come together. Hopefully, this is an ongoing thing, but have come together to do something. So this is interesting. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement with the group? I know you're not the founder. Polly is the founder, who couldn't be here today because of bandwidth considerations. She's in a hotel because she's moving and the bandwidth was not amazing. But we have us here, you and I here to talk about this. So your involvement in the group. When I interviewed you, you were telling me that you were a judge, and we went through all kinds of tangents. Break it down for me. How do you get down in the group?
Yeah, I feel like became aware of the group when it started. Like Polly created the website and basically was just collecting names of Black women photographers around the country and globe. And I just started following them on social media, such as Instagram and Facebook, and just became aware of them and the great work that they were doing. I remember during the pandemic, they had a print sale where photographers could just donate. They would submit one photo to be available on their website for sale for a limited time of period, and then basically, Black women photographers got some money, but the photographer that made the image, any prints that they sold, received the payment from those prints, which was great
Yeah.
because you know everything was shut down, and it was like a nice way to make some money while things were closed and COVID was rampant and nothing was really happening. So it was a great resource for a lot of people.
Yeah. I totally agree. And during that adventure, that COVID adventure, there was, if we all remember correctly, there wasn't really an end in sight, right? No one had any
Right.
idea
No
what was
one
going to
knew.
happen day to day, month to month. The
Right.
economy, everything was up in the air. So, and
Hmm.
especially impacted were freelancers like photographers and or gig workers or anybody that had anything to do with being in contact with the public
Hmm.
were not in a good position. Yeah, so yeah, this was. I'm sure this was a godsend for a ton of people. Let me read a bit about the BWP, the Black Women Photographers Group community, and just so I'm going to read this blurb just so that everyone in the audience knows exactly what it is and what the numbers are. So
Sure.
the group was established in July of 2020 by Polly Irungu. She's Black Women Photographers, the inception maker, the founder, I guess, is the best word for it. And the community is global. It's a directory and it's a hub of over 2,000 Black women and non-binary identifying photographers spanning over 60 countries and 35 U.S. states. BWP was launched with a $14,500 COVID-19 relief fund to help Black women photographers in dire need of financial relief due to the pandemic. And so far, BWP has provided over $115,000 in financial grants to Black creatives, plus brand new mirrorless Nikon gear. Look at that, Nikon.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a recipient of
yeah,
one
so
of
wow.
those kits. So it's pretty much life changing.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really good. That is really good. So, all right. So now that the audience knows what we know, so you know the background, you know who Edwina is. Oh, who am I? I'm Frederick Van Johnston. I am the host of a podcast called This Week in Photo. You can find it at thisweekinphoto.com. Uh, uh, it's a long running podcast. I don't want to dive into it. Edwina has been on it. She was a guest on there, and we talked about all things including a little Beyonce talk. So we got to close the loop on that Beyonce talk. But without further delay, let's dive into this because I know everybody is here to learn about this grant announcement. We're going to start with the runners up, but let's even before that, let's talk about the grant theme. So the theme for the mission was to capture light and motion, or the theme was light and motion, and it was inspired by this photo, and this is one of your photos, right, Edwina? So
Yes.
this shot, tell us about this shot, and tell us why light in motion was the perfect choice for this. And this wasn't your choice, right? This was between you and the Flickr group and kind of a collaborative choice, or how did it all go down?
I think someone at Flickr selected it. Like, I guess because they knew I was asked to be a judge, they found this
Mhm.
photo and came up with that themes. I think it was Mackenzie. Thank you, Mackenzie. Um, but this is an artist by the name of June McDoom. She's originally from Miami, but she lives in Brooklyn, New York. And this was taken at her record release show at a venue called Baby's All Right, which has like the back wall is covered in like ashtrays and lights. So because I just decided to play around with a filter and the stage lights and that light in the back wall, using a filter to kind of get the motion and the lights and circling around her.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. I love this. It's one of the things I love about photography, and that's just the mystery of light, right? And what you can
Mhm.
do with it, especially when you understand what it's doing and how to kind of control it to get it to do what you want on the sensor or the film. And this is an
Mhm.
example of that, right? This is almost like time travel to me, where you're mixing a moment in time with a stretched out moment in time
Mhm.
and putting together in the same frame. That's how this speaks to me, and as well as the motion, but more of the time travel, capturing time travel in a single click. Love it. Um, let's talk about our runners up. So let's dive into these wonderful people. All these images, and by the way, I helped judge these as well. So all the images in the gallery, which we will link to the full gallery from the replay blog post for this announcement. But the images are just outstanding. There's a ton of just outstanding images in there that it inspired me to go out and try some
Right.
interesting things. So, which is what it's all about, right? That's the whole purpose of the Flickr group and Flickr, right? Is to be inspirational to people who just love photography. So the first runner up is Ngadi Smart. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Ngadi Ngadi Smart, and her image was titled "Family." Family. Look at this one. Yeah. What do you think?
I love it. It's just a great moment captured on film with the different hands and multiple exposures. And then you've got like the creative light because of the look on film. It's just really beautiful. I think we all found it beautiful. And then she's capturing a family. So you can see different size hands kind of overlapping each other, but also kind of touching the mother's stomach, which is really
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah, and this is one of those shots that'll. I mean, it feels artistic, right? So I can see this hanging in
Hmm.
a gallery, but I could also see it hanging in someone's house. This family's
Right.
home, and this one spoke to me mainly because it's non-traditional. It's a non-traditional family portrait, right?
Hmm.
So when the family looks back on this portrait like 20 years from now or whatever, and they just see, "Oh, yeah, my hands used to look like that," or "That's when you were in my belly,"
Right.
that
Yeah.
it evokes those feelings, and that again, time travel, right? That snapshot of what's going on at this moment. Because the importance of photography is that you take a photo, you don't know what's going to happen to or for or whatever to the people that are in front of your camera the next minute, day, hour, year after that. So all things could have changed after this photo was taken, making this photo that much more important. So really good work. Really good work. Our next runner-up is Aisha Kazim, and her image was called Mirage. Mirage.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think this was
this is
like
a
a unanimous pick. Like everyone who was on the panel really enjoyed this image. Like I love the motion of the earring and the movement. The person used a slow shutter speed, so you're catching like movement and the motion of like her hair and earring, and then the soft light. Like it's really well lit too. It's really
hmm
beautiful.
hmm yeah, and this one is an example of you don't need like the latest and greatest Nikon, Sony, Canon, Fuji, Lumix camera. This is, I mean, this you could do this technique and understanding if you understand how to do this technique, which is kind of a slow shutter drag with a flash popped in there. If you understand how to do this, then that becomes a tool in your toolbox. No
Absolutely.
matter what camera you have, even if it's an iPhone or whatever, you can do this kind of photography and then bring it into post and do other things to it. But
Hmm.
understanding the fundamentals of light and composition and emotion at a light level versus I have a camera where I can push a button and it has a mode that will do this. You understand how to do it yourself. You have superpowers after that. You just start stacking your superpowers as a photographer once you know how to do one technique like this. So
Right,
yeah,
and
I
it's
dig
in
it. This is
a simple background, so you don't need much. You can just do this in a room with a wall, and you really can't tell when this was taken. Like
yeah,
this could have been done in the 80s or 70s or contemporary. Like it's a pretty classic photograph.
yeah, it's timeless. Absolutely, absolutely. Very cool. All right. Next up is Michelle Veenbain-Ish. Veenbain-Ish. I think I got it. Sorry for butchering that if I did. And her image was Mothio. Mothio.
Yeah,
And I
this
don't
is
know what
another
Mothio means.
this is another gorgeous one. It's just a simple portrait that's well lit, but then you have the motion streaks in her hair kind of going upward of the frame, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, this one draws you in. Again, mastering light, understanding how to play with light and draw with it on your
Mhm.
frame is a skill, right? And I look at this shot, and one of the main purposes of photography is to draw you in and make you look at, bring you into the shot deeper. Kind of like in email marketing, email marketers say the job of an email or the subject line is to get you to open the email
Okay.
and read
Yeah.
the email. And like with images, if you want to draw someone into the story you're trying to tell them, you got to catch them somehow, or else especially today in a sea of scrolling, right? There's got to be that thing, and this one has that thing. Because I look at it and I'm like, what is going on with her hair? And then I go into how did she do this? How did
Mhm.
she put it together? Then I look at the face and I'm trying to understand what's going on with the expression, and it just kind of all works together. So well done, well done. All right, but I still want to know what Mafio is. Is that the person's name, or is
We'll have to look that up later.
Yeah, and again, all of these shots will you'll be able to go back and look on your high resolution screen and enjoy them there once we send out the replay for this, or send out the announcement blog post. Julia Holcomb is next, and her shot was bubbles. Bubbles.
Yeah, this is just lovely. Like I love the little girl playing blowing bubbles, and then you've got like the light coming in the frame, which kind of makes it look like she's surrounded in a bubble. So it's just
Yeah.
really smart and well executed. And then you've got the family looking on in the background. It's just a really beautiful photo.
Yeah, this is very nostalgic for me too. I look at this one, like that looks like my big sister right there back in the day, right? So, and we all had these kind of, most of us had these kind of photos in a drawer somewhere that some family member took, had developed, and then threw in a drawer with some undeveloped rolls of film, and and some developed rolls of film in there. And we had a drawer just like that. And what brings me there is the choice of black and white in the processing,
Mhm,
and capturing it in the thick, aggressive white border, putting it on
mhm.
there. So that brings me back to old school printing, where they used to, you didn't have a choice. All photos came like this, right?
Right.
And then it draws me in, like looking at how the light is reacting on the frame and pointing towards our main subject. And then we're in the story. We're wondering what is our main subject doing? Oh, she's blowing bubbles. Oh,
Hmm.
so it all
Hmm.
kind of comes together. So it works. It really works. And these kind of shots, I feel like, especially in these days of social media and images just flying by all day, every day, these kind of shots that benefit from just taking a second to sit back and look at it and understand what the photographer or the artist was trying to tell you with the shot. We're losing a lot of that because of how fast this fire hose is pumping images out. We don't have time to spend on any one image and get the story, because there's so many stories, there's so much
Hmm.
going on, which is an incentive for the photographers to differentiate and make your photos stand out, so that people pause and come in, right? Your
Right.
job as a photographer is like the salesman in the mall doing the mall kiosks, right? You're like, okay, come buy my thing. And
Hmm.
then when they get over there, hopefully they can't resist what your offering is, but you got to get them over there with some hook. This one has that hook, so I dig it. All right, next up is Melissa Yoen.
Oh, Julia just commented that that was a Polaroid photo using film. So,
Oh, oh, bring that quote up again. This is a plural of the. Oh, look at that. So see, I was right. This is one of those shots. So that even makes it even more special, because this post
yeah.
processing wasn't intentional, right? This was the photographer capturing the moment, and the camera added the nostalgia on its own. Very cool. Thanks for commenting. Appreciate that. Really cool. All right, let's bring up Melissa's shot. All right, I have thoughts. What do you think of this, Edwina?
It's I don't know what to say what I like about it the most. It's like yes, you have the child and the child's shadow, but then you get the peek of the curtain through the window that the person's taking the image of, and then I love the shadow of the tree that's falling in front of that car in the background. It's so good.
Hmm.
There's just so
Yeah.
much going on, and it's taken from a window. Like you can make images anywhere. Like this is proof of using the tools that you have, and you're like this is clearly from a window, and you don't need much to take a photo. You just need a camera, an idea, and just go ahead and execute it.
Yeah. Yep. And then that last part is the hard part, right? The camera and the idea and the get off your butt sauce and go get the photo is the other piece of it, because a lot of us has a yeah, maybe speaking from personal experience, but a lot of us have gear, but we struggle to find the time to go out and shoot, and when we do have the time, we're like, maybe I'll do it next time, right? But when you do get over that tipping point, you end up with shots like this, right? When you're like, okay, I'm just gonna grab the shot, let me grab my camera, boom, take a bunch of shots, and then post process them, then you understand why you're a photographer. I look at this shot and I immediately see non-standard, almost like in cinematography, Dutch angle type interest in the shot. All these angles and triangles and diagonals add to
Mhm.
making this shot really interesting. Those harsh shadows are speaking to the shot. And then one of the things when I looked at the shot initially, I was like, okay, there's no subject. What's the subject? There's a bunch of stuff, And then
Hmm.
you look at it again deeply, and all the supporting items in the shot are supporting our main character, which is the figure down there at the bottom. And the
Yeah.
shadow is also pointing towards that character, right? So a lot of elements in there are pointing towards that. And we know in photography, our eyes generally track to the brightest point in the scene, or words in the scene. In this case, it's the brightest point in the scene, and we can see it's all kind of centered in that middle, with the shadows kind of acting to support who our subject is. So yeah, I like it. I like this one a lot. I like there's a couple of other shots in here too. I was looking at this one thinking, yeah, I wonder what this would have looked like at the same angle but cropped in tighter on our subject down there. So we're just seeing, a bunch of shadow play around the subject and then the subject in the middle. That would have been an interesting abstract. But like this, it's really, obviously it's a runner up. It was really powerful as well. So thank you, Melissa, for that. Very good. All right. Next up is Alexis Brown, Road to the Phoenix. Road to the Phoenix. Look at this.
Yeah, that's really well done. Like it looks like this person's a dancer and it's just capturing their movement with, slow shutter and light and motion. It's just great. Like they look
Hmm.
like they have
Yeah.
like, multiple hands, but it's just this one figure catching him dancing and moving. And it's just
Hmm.
really beautiful. The colors are great as well.
Yeah, I love that green, the emerald green and the smoke in there. Yeah. This one, when I looked at this one, this is one of the ones that inspired me to like, okay, yeah, I want to go do this. Because we used to play with this a lot on film way back in the day. You can imagine how hard this is to inexpensive. This is to try to get right on film. But it's a good example of how timeless some photographic techniques are, and light is. It's the same now as it was 50, 60 years ago, and these kinds of techniques have been around for that much time. But taking those techniques and applying them to your genre, your story, is where the magic is. But understanding them is the other piece of it. How did this person do that? When I look at these, like shots like this that are inspiring, I look at the shot and I'm thinking, hey, how do I do it? And then I go into my viewer mode, which is, what are they telling me? Without looking at a caption or a title, looking at the shot, can I tell what that artist was trying to capture, or what they're trying to tell me about this person or about the world, right? And from this one, my perception is this is just, a obviously it feels like this is a dancer and they're emoting several emotions, right? The title of this one, well, we don't have a title for this one, so it's untitled. So if I was to title this one, I would probably title it like, multiple personality disorder. I don't know, MPD or Medusa or something like that. Multifaceted or something, because it just speaks to the multiplicity of most of us. When it comes to personalities and actions and all that. So really good. Yeah, I like it. And green gels and some smoke, right? That goes a long
Right.
way. So very good. Make use of the smoke. Oh, that was Road to the Phoenix. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. This one was titled, that one was Road to the Phoenix. I'm looking at my crossouts wrong on my notes. That was by Alexis Brown, and that is my favorite name, Alexis. All right, the next one is Gabrielle Morse. In My Motion. In My Motion. Look at that.
So
What do
yeah,
you
I
think
think
of
we
him?
really loved the hair movement and the streaks that the hair is causing, and you don't see the subject's face, but you can tell that they're kind of dancing or twirling. There's some kind of movement, and then you've got the lights with the flash that's hitting them, and like you can see reds, you can see a little bit of yellows, and it's just a really fun photograph to me, at
Hmm.
least. Like I think
Yeah.
she's
No.
jumping, twirling, or so it's just like a nice moment that the person's capturing, using flash and movement and light,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And it speaks to the, like, the eye of the photographer, right? So if the photographer was going for the shot, if this shot was intentional and this is like shot 70, out of 200. They're trying to get this perfect, which I doubt. I think this feels like it was kind of serendipitous. But it takes the other side of it is to have the creative brain to spot a shot like this and not dismiss it immediately, because from a non-photographer standpoint, hey, they're facing away from the camera, the light is a little harsh, I can't see what's in the background, what's going on here, right? Why should I like this? But if you look at it, it draws you in, right? The color palette of the image, even the abyss at the top of the shot, kind of makes you wonder where this person was when this was shot. And the harsh of the flash or whatever that light source was that's illuminating them adds to this. It adds to kind of the, what's that word? Cinema verite, serendipitous feeling of a shot like this. Like, oh, I just caught it. Oh, that look, let me
Mhm.
just grab that. That's what it feels, and then it works. In the end, some photographers would say, you know, you could pick this apart from a technical or a contest standpoint, but I feel like this is one of the stronger ones because it really works from a standpoint of being mysterious and drawing me in as the viewer to want to know what's going on in the shot, who this person is, why are they doing this thing, all of that, right? It pulls you right into it. So
Yeah,
really
I
good
also
shot.
like the red streak coming from like the arm on the left side. Like it looks like a little paint thrown in. Like it's really really well done.
Yeah, yeah. And Gabrielle Morris again is the artist, and the title of this is In My Motion. So so I'm guessing because of the tints, this is a self-portrait maybe? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it could
So
be
yeah,
like the arm
Gabrielle, if
that
you're
we
in the
don't
chat, let
see.
us
The
know.
arm that we don't see could be controlling the trigger. So
That's right. That is absolutely right. Yeah. It's really
that's a
cool.
great way to hide it. Like have it off frame. You know.
Yeah. I meant to do that. Yeah. Really cool. Cameron Chambers is up next, and her shot is titled Lost in Thought. Lost in Thought. Look at this. This could be the poster frame for like a Netflix series or something, right? It just needs some
Yeah, like
copy
this
on the
looks like a
side at the
cinema
top.
poster, or yeah, it's really well done. It's just I love the colors, like the pink and the purple, blue, and then you've got the hands casting a shadow on the wall. It's
Hmm.
really beautiful.
Yeah, and the story's there, right? So it pulls us in. Remember, folks, the theme for this grant contest or uh, uh, this whole thing, the theme for this pool of photos was light in motion, light in motion. So keep that in mind as we look at these. So when you put that in mind, those words, light in motion, and your inspirational photograph that we looked at off the top, do you think that applies here? I think it does. I want to get your
Yeah,
thoughts on it.
absolutely. Like there's a obvious light source, and I mean the hands are moving. Like it's however you feel like interpreting it. Like she's clearly it looks like a bathtub to me, so I feel like she's moving in the tub. The person's hands, the person in the tub, is moving and gesturing their hands in a way, and then you've got like this light that kind of acts like a spotlight on the subject, which is really nice.
Yeah, yeah, I like it too. Yeah, this like I said, this one feels very much like a book cover or to a murder mystery or something. It feels very mysterious. And even the topic, the Grant theme, light in motion. If you want to nerd out about it, light is always in motion, right? It can't stop. So
Mhm.
every photograph is a photograph of light that was at some point in motion. So no, I like this one. I like this a lot. And again, there's other photos in this one like this standalone, great. But punching in a little bit to just the rim of the tub and the hands and the shadow, even more kind of abstract at that point because now you start wondering, oh, where is this person? Looks kind of like a tub by that edge, but oh, and
Mhm.
the brickwork in the
On the
back, but
wall. Yeah.
why are these hands there? So yeah. You know what's interesting though? Looking at this shot, look at the hands and the position of the hands, and look at the shadow. Like granted, this could just be the perspective of the camera and the positioning of the light, but it looks like
Mhm.
the shadow is doing different things than those hands are doing. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, I think the shadow on the wall is the top hand, and then there's like a lower shadow, so that's probably the second
that's
one.
that's
That's a
in the
little bit
tub.
lower. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But really cool. What a good concept, though. If you were to,
Mhm.
lean into that and actually put some shape that clearly wasn't created by those hands in a shadow on the wall.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah, really cool. All right, Cameron, thank you for that shot. Really good. Lost in thought. That was. All right. The next one is Bria Woods. Bria calls this shot 4th of July fireworks. There you go. That is light in motion for sure.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we've all taken photos of fireworks and it's kind of hard to make them interesting, but I love that she has the photo of the child on someone's shoulders and then they're surrounded by the fireworks going off in the distance. And then like the bottom you can kind of see someone's like it looks like they're wearing a crown or something on their head. So it's just like it's more than just the fireworks. It's like you've got the child and on their parent's shoulders and then you can kind of see another person who's probably a family member. So it's just a really great image, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and every 4th of July, I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, how do you? Well, I mean, it's not hard to figure out and find out the recipe for capturing fireworks, right? So doing
Right.
that is not the challenge. I think the challenge for a lot of photographers is how do you capture fireworks and make the shot unique? Because you look after the 4th of July here in the U.S., you look on any social media or image sharing service, and it's all fireworks, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them are amazing. So it's like, okay, why should I shoot it? Should I just enjoy it? And if I am going to shoot it, how do I do something different than what everybody else is doing? This is an example of that, right? Put a person
Mm-hmm.
in the foreground, make it about the act of watching fireworks versus the fireworks themselves. We've all seen a million of them. Or do we need to see more in 2D, right? So, make it about the story, lean into the story around the fireworks. Even detail shots of burnt fireworks in the middle of the street or stuff like that kind of tells the story of what happened that day and why is interesting. And this is an example of doing that. I wonder, like the illumination of the subject could have been. I mean, that could have been a phone light or headlights
Mm-hmm.
from a car parked, somewhere behind the subject, and boom, you got it right. So
Mm-hmm.
slightly out of focus fireworks. So we know because they're slightly out of focus, that's not what we're supposed to be looking at. And then we have what we're supposed to be looking at in the foreground, again, mysterious, back turned to the camera, and semi rimlit by the light from the fireworks, but lit also with a main light from some off camera light source behind the subject. And there we
Mm-hmm.
go, right? All interesting. An interesting shot captures the day. It's different than any other shot like had been taken that day. So very good. I like it. That was Bria Woods, 4th of July fireworks. And then last on our list of runners up is Marcia Williams with Nura. Marcia Williams with Nura.
Yeah, this is another one that came up. Like we reviewed the lists of entries, and this was pretty much selected by everyone. It's just
Mm-hmm.
really well done. It's clearly light in motion. Like you've got like light moving on the lower half of the frame, and then you've got light in the background in the top right, and it's just a really beautiful portrait. And it's just someone posing pretty casually, like holding on to something, and they're looking directly at the camera. So you pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to their face, but then you've got these other nice elements happening in the frame as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it certainly tells light motion. Absolutely, it checks that box. But also, like you said, it's a emotive portrait. So when I'm looking at this portrait, and of course, we're gonna, as humans or mammals, I guess, you would look directly at the eyes, right? When we
Mhm.
want to kind of figure out what's going on, and then in a frame, our eyes will go from looking at the face down to whatever words or other bright objects are in the scene. In this case, it's shared roadway with I'm guessing bicycles, right? You
Bicycles.
got a little.
There's like an
Hmm.
image of the bicycle on the sign below that.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So it takes me into the story. Like, why does she look like this? Like, why is she doesn't appear, she appears very stoic. I don't know if she's happy or not, right? But why is she blank faced and in motion, and on what kind of conveyance is she on? I'm guessing it's either a bus or a train. Like, what
Mhm.
what is happening in this shot, and what is she feeling and why is she looking directly into the camera? Is so all of that works together to me as a viewer, like the subject line in the emails designed to pull you into the story. I'm pulled into the story. Like I'm wondering what's happening here, and I'm curious to know more. Like a shot like this, I want to see. This is like a photojournalism picture story or a photo story, right? Where this is one of a couple of images that are maybe, I don't know, hypothetically documenting this woman's commute to work from, you know, New Jersey to Manhattan or something, right? So this could be that, and it tells that story and why she does it every day, and it takes her 3 hours to get back and forth, and you know all that, and I get all that just from looking at the shot. Whereas if a couple of elements of this shot were different, I wouldn't have that feeling, right? Or I'd have a different feeling about the shot. So really good, very good. Marcia Williams, Nura, our last um, runner up. So, Edwina, we've come to that time where we have
Yeah.
to announce the winner of this grant. Let me restate what this winner is going to get, because I'm trying to build anticipation. So the winner, winner, let's see, the winner will get. Here it is, $2,500 grant, and 10 runners up will receive, oh, that's the winner. The 10 runners up will receive 1 year Flickr Pro membership. You guys really should check out Flickr, right? I mean, yes, my company is part of the Smug Mug Flickr trifecta, but Flickr is, I would say this even if I weren't part of the company, Flickr is one of those not it's one of those overlooked super powerful photo services that in many ways launched how photographers share images today. And when I revisited Flickr a couple of years ago, I kind of, kept my account going all these years, and I revisited and I went in there and started poking around, and I realized why I joined Flickr in the first place, because it's not just about looking at images or commenting, it's about community, which is like the whole thing, right? With photography, especially with the Black women photographers Flickr group, right? The activity in there brings everybody together with a common bond, right? And then a grant like this is a little gasoline on the fire. So $2,500, and then for all those people that we just went through, they get their free year of Flickr and Smug Mug Pro,
Mhm.
and you're off into the races. So even if you haven't, I don't want to make this sound like a commercial or anything, but it is genuine. To If you haven't poked around in there, even not as a member, just go in there and find the genres that you're interested in, and look at the long list of groups that are dedicated to that genre. It's insane. Um, okay, so let's announce this year's winner, shall we? If I can
I think
find
we
it. Here we go.
should.
All right, drum roll. Don't do a drum roll, Alistair, but drum roll in your heads, please. The winner of the 2023 Flickr and Black Women Photographers Grant is Genesis Falls, with her shot called Children at Play. Let me read a little bit about Genesis. So, Genesis Falls is a contemporary portrait photographer who lives and works in my hometown, Chicago, Illinois. She uses her love for black and white film to demonstrate feelings and emotions through her lens, capturing people at some of their purest moments. And here's a quote from Genesis about this shot. She said, "It stands out to me not only because of the subjects, but the visual way the light is streaming through the water." I agree. What do you think of the shot, Edwina? And congratulations, by the way, Genesis Falls.
Yes, congrats to Genesis, but I also love this photo for the reason that you said, like the light coming through the water and the child's hands in the stream, and then you've got one child kind of hiding from the water itself, and it's just like a great moment. You just think of summer in a city, like kids playing, and I grew up in New York, so I'm just like, this is like a photo that reminds me of my childhood. And there have just been so many great film photographers that worked on capturing children at play. Like I think of Berenice Abbott, and Deanne Arbus also has some photos of kids, and it just kind of reminds me of that, like those classic, film photos that you see of just children enjoying um, the city. Helen Levitt too.
Yeah.
That's another like photographer that it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, and it's a good inspiration, more inspiration for being focused in your photography. And what I mean by that is a shot like this. When I see a shot like this, yeah, it could have been serendipitous. Genesis could have just been walking by and snapped the shot, which is great, right? I'm sure this scene unfolds in many cities, especially in summer, especially these summers that we're having now, right? It's
Mhm.
not exactly chilly outside. When I look at this from a photographer education standpoint, giving yourself a self project like this, like on a Saturday late afternoon, close to magic hour or whatever, or in the morning if you're that person, saying, you know what, I'm going to go out today and give myself a challenge. Say it's in this genre, give myself a challenge, and my challenge is titled At Play, right? Instead of children at play, it could just be at play. I want to get shots of people at play enjoying themselves. Put yourself on those rails and then go out with a camera and a format memory card and only capture shots that you feel like are reflective of that particular topic. And you end up with shots like this because now you're not kind of looking around. Oh, that doorknob looks good. Maybe I'll take a picture of that. Oh, look at that. A policeman standing next to their car. That looks good. You're
Mhm.
focused on, is that at play or is it not at play? Not move on to the next one. Very simple, basic programming, right? If then statement, right? So now you're out there and you come back with a set of images that you can cull through that are on a particular theme. You can make triptychs, you can make solo shots like this one, but it all kind of works together, especially on Instagram, because now you can drip out a theme that tells a story over time. Boom.
Mhm.
Or you upload all these shots into a group in Flickr and tell that story linearly or all at once, however you want to display it. So really, really cool shot. I am pleased that this one got picked. And congratulations. Even the name, Genesis Falls, is a great name. I love that
Yeah.
name. That is a really cool name.
Very great name for an artist. Like, yeah.
Yeah, or anybody, really. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so we will leave it right there. We are at the end of this live stream. And Weena, thank you for coming on again and having this
Okay.
conversation and walking through these images. What a treat to have you on.
Yeah. Congrats to all the winners, the runners up, the winner Genesis, but the runners up, you all and everyone who submitted work. Like we went through a lot of images to judge this competition and it was great. Like we saw a lot of good work. We couldn't award everybody, but
Yeah,
if you didn't win this time, hopefully we'll be back with another grant opportunity that you can contribute. But we saw a lot of great work and this was a very fun experience.
love it. Yes, yeah, agreed. And Edwina, tell us a little. You and I did an interview, which, of course, like I said, we'll link in the blog post for this over to the interview you and I did, so people have even more color on this grant. But for the folk, I read a little bit of bio about you, so
Mhm.
and people can watch the interview to find out more about you. But I'm going to put you on the spot here. Tell everyone about your adventure at the Beyonce concert a couple months ago.
Yeah,
Did
so
you
I took my
enjoy it?
first
You
vacation
know, you know the thing I
in
took away from that, Edwina. The thing I took away
yes.
from that when we talked about it was you didn't shoot it. You went
Oh,
there to a once in a lifetime opportunity, and as a concert photographer, and didn't shoot it. Why?
well, it's she's one of those artists where it's very difficult to photograph her,
Yes.
but I did bring like a personal camera and I took some photos. I just haven't shared them. But I have them. But it was just an amazing experience. It's like a 3-hour show at the
Mm.
Superdome, and the tour was supposed to end in New Orleans, but it ended up ending actually in Kansas City. So when my husband and I decided we were going to go, we were really excited. We were like, tour end in New Orleans. We're going to make a vacation out of it. So it was a really great time. Like,
Really good.
I'm looking forward to the film coming out.
Yes.
Like, we are going to go see it in IMAX the first weekend in December. So, yeah.
Very good.
We get
Very
to
good.
relive
All
the
right.
experience all over again in a movie theater.
Mm, yeah, concerts and movie theaters. It's the thing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. We will leave it right there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this live stream, participating, and all the runners up. Congratulations! You know what to do now to get your goods, and of course to our winner, Genesis Falls, with her shot "Children at Play." Fantastic shot. Great. And it was great being here hosting this. So be sure to check it out. And also, if you're not a member of the Black Women Photographers Flickr group, pop over there. And even if you don't become a member, just look through some of the work that's in there. It's fantastic. It's beautiful work that is, and it's a group because it's Flickr, right? It's a never ending scroll of images, and new ones get added every single day. So take a look at it. And if you are in the demographic that can join this group, join the group and get in there and throw your shots in there so that your voice can be heard too. So we'll leave it right there, Edwina. Hey, oh, Edwina, if people want to connect with you, what's your place on the web where you direct people to check out your work?
Sure. My website is thisisnotaphotograph.com. It's a mouthful, but that's my portfolio, and you can see my work. And then I try to post to my blog when new images go up. I'm on Instagram as ARE not photos because this is not a photograph is too long for a Instagram username. And yeah, I think those are the two main places that you can find me. I'm also like on other things like Facebook under Edwina Hay Photography, and um, not really using Twitter much these days, but also there are not photos, and then on Flickr as Eats Dirt. So those are
Very,
the main places that you can find me and my work. And
very
they're
cool.
showing my Instagram feed. So that's Sister Nancy performing at the same venue that I captured June McDoom. So you can see um, the wall that's in the background with all the ashtrays, and it's fun to play with lights on that back wall.
I gotta. That's obviously New York, right? Someplace
Yeah, it's in
cool in New
Brooklyn.
York. Ugh, yeah. Just so you know, I live in the opposite of New York, so there's nothing, there's no there's no nightlife excitement or culture where I live. It's a small town in California, and that was on your Flickr page, by the way. That wasn't on Instagram,
Yes.
so that was, yeah, very cool. All right, we'll leave it right there, folks. If you want to watch this replay, of course, it'll be embedded in the blog post with the announcement, which is now public, so we can do that. If you want
Yeah.
to follow Edwina, head over to any of the places that she mentioned. We'll link to her in the blog post as well. And, of course, check out her interview on thisweekinphoto.com. Just head over to thisweekinphoto.com and type in Edwina Hay. You'll find the interview that we did. And with that, we'll leave it right there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Flickr, for making this happen. Smug Mug and This Week in Photo, and the Black Women Photographers Group, which is what all this is for. So thank you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.